Welcome back to Inside Israel. I'm Christine Williams. We have back with us Pastor Salim Shalash, visiting from Israel. Now, your identity, Pastor Shalash, once again, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Your identity as an Arab Israeli. Most people have an understanding somewhat of what that could be like, but I'm going to let you take it away from here, the implications of that very identity living in Israel.
Okay. When I started traveling to Europe, they didn't understand who I am because they didn't know even that there is Arab in Israel, living in Israel, having, the Israeli identity or Israeli passport. So we can identify ourselves as Arab Israelis. We having the Israeli passport, we are living in Israel, we are under the sovereignty of Israel. And that's bring us such a blessings because we live in very blessed country. We have the very nice condition that's a lot of Christians all over the world searching for these good conditions and they didn't find it. And even, in Arab countries like Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Christians are persecuted in many ways. And there is 15 million Christians in all Middle East. And 1% of them enjoying freedom. And we are the 1%. In Israel.
People listening to you will say, oh, this is rare, based on what we see in the news. But from my perspective, and I've visited Israel several times, I have been in cabs where the Arab Israeli talks about what a joy it is to live in Israel.
True.
And I've also heard that a lot of the Palestinians themselves and the Arabs say they're not happy living over in the Palestinian territory. They have much more freedoms in Israel.
That's
so
true.
If you can clarify some of these mixed stories that seem to contradict one another, that would be helpful.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's when I want to see a comedy film or movie, I just watch the news at 8 o'clock in Europe. Because what I'm hearing in the news, it's just fake news, nothing is true. And I'm living 43 years old in Israel. I'm blessed all these years. I'm never persecuted as a Christian. I'm having all the good conditions as a Christian who live in Israel to build our church, to worship, to share the gospel. Even our church is confirmed from the Israeli government. It's not complicated to start establishing your church. We are so blessed.
Do you feel ever persecuted as an Arab living in Israel?
Yeah, but not from the Israeli government. We're still protected by the Israeli government. And there is some challenges that we face. I'm telling that Israel is a perfect utopia, civil country. No, they have their challenges. But if you compare my life to the life of Christians who live in other territories in the Middle East, you are like comparing heaven and hell. I know that many Christians would like to come as a refugee to Israel. And no one from the Christian Arab and Muslims would like to leave Israel and live in Arab country. But unfortunately, the media, like what the prophet Isaiah talk about in the Old Testament, they have eyes and they don't see. They have ears and they don't listen. So any Arab Christian, I challenge you, you can ask, would you give your Israeli passport and leave Israel to go to another Arab country? They will reject.
You have made it so clear how free you are, practicing as a Christian, living in Israel. What about the response you get from fellow Arabs being a Christian? Because, just to educate some people think there's no such thing as an Arab Christian, you must have converted, but there are Arab Christians.
Yes.
That is something that should be known, but unfortunately, it isn't always known, as you made clear in the other interview that we did.
Yes.
But you do, from what I've read about you, have issues with the Arab population at times being a Christian practicing even in Israel.
Yes, sometimes it's a big challenge for us, because when you have like two wars from inside and outside, that's a problem. What I mean, that in Israel today we are 81,000 inhabitants, and we are talking about 75% Muslims and 25% Christians. And when I say 25% Christians, I mean all. Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, all denominations. And if you're talking about believers, real believers, you are talking about 3%. And the problem when you face a war from inside, because the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, they publicly share that our God is not their God and our Jesus is not their Jesus. So when you are under attack from your people inside, that is the problem. But God teaches us that also we will face a persecuting and we will face challenges, but we need to stand for the truth. That's the only reason that our church, Home of Jesus the King Church, is focusing in projects. We don't want to speak, we don't want to teach, we don't want to have philosophy, we want to show Jesus in action. How? Helping poor families, helping orphan children, helping old men houses. Even we visited, Beit Ham in Haifa. That's our Holocaust survivors. How Arab can visit, Holocaust, Arab Christians. We know the history, what we did in the past. But we try to explain for them what you saw, the Holocaust, wasn't Christianity. This is not what Jesus came for. Jesus came for love, care, and sacrifice himself for us. So it was really touching, the Holy Spirit came there and we felt like one family.
How do you convince the Jewish people, and I know many Jewish people that have every right to be absolutely bitter to this day, given what took place in the Holocaust, because there were Christians that persecuted the Jews. And to this day, I hear the accusation from many Jews that say, look, we were not only persecuted by Christians, but Christians are also attempting to come into Israel and overtake our culture as being Jews and make it into a Christian country, and they violate our very heritage as Jews. How do you deal with this very difficult, particularly with the pain attached, this issue of the Jewish culture and the Jewish identity given that history?
It's not easy. It's a little bit complicated, but as I've been teach from God how to do that, there is a lot of misunderstanding how we can deal with the Jewish people. First of all, we need to understand to make them jealous and not envious. And that's totally different. Envious, it's different from jealousy. Envious, if I look someone else's wife and I like better than my own, and I would like to have it, that's called envious feeling. But if someone else runs off with my wife, I will feel jealous. That's something belong to me. And we want to tell them that this is your Messiah. This is your scriptures. We visit one family, a Jewish woman, and we give her food, a package of food. It's something that we do it monthly to show Jesus in action. And she was shocked. Are you Arab? Yes. Arab bring food for Jew? Yes, we do. Why? And then it was door for us to tell them that this is your Messiah teaching. This is the love of Jesus. And we start to speak about, Isaiah 53, about Psalms 22, about Proverbs 30, and all talk about Jesus. And she was so touched, and she understood that this is the Messiah. This is the way that's to make them jealous and not envious. And that's very important. We are not in war who's going to win. We need to understand that God is gathering the family. And it's not our business, it's His business. If we agree or not, it's going to happen. But I don't want just to be a witness. I want to be part of the family. And if you forget everything what we spoke now about it, as a real Christian, if you are a real Christian, Matthew 28 says, go to all nations. Aren't the Jew nations? Yes, they are. And they are priority for God. And we need to understand that Romans 9, 10, and 11 very clearly he speaks to us that in the end of the days, Gentile is going to be light for the Jews. If we don't have oil, how we can be light for the Jews? Maybe they are now, the Bible said, enemy for the Bible, but they are beloved because of the patriarchs. This is what God wants to focus in, bringing the family back again, all of them.
Pastor Salim Shalash. Not easy to end the program with him as a guest, but we're going to have him back again, so keep watching.